Okay, I'm recording. I moved my camera from the last position, from the last one, because after reviewing that video, I thought it was pretty distracting in the top left corner, so we're in the bottom right today. Gonna bring up my presentation here. So this week for our discussion, the discussion was the potential impact of gamification and wearable devices on your career. I actually, my last job, this was actually one of the main reasons why I left the job, and I've got some pretty strong feelings about it, and I posted kind of like my short story about what happened, which I'm going to go into here, and it got a lot of interaction in the post already, so um, hoping to expand on that a little bit more. So this started with the job that I worked from 2022 to 2024 with a company named Global Canine. We had a company phone that we had to wear on our chest, which was a body camera, and then our personal phones had an app on it called, I think I might even still have it downloaded. Let me check real quick. Paycom. Paycom has a GPS tracking capability where they can GPS track your staff. Yeah, how do you feel about tracking of employees and the monitoring of your vital functions and the job outside the workplace? So, the ability for them to zoom in and see your exact location on the GPS tracking is kind of disturbing. They can see exactly what room you're in. They can tell whether you're inside or outside of a building, and stuff like this. And like what I mentioned in my story, there was this one time where my boss calls me. He goes, "Hey man, I need you to come in." And I said, "Yeah man, I'm downtown. I'm not really home. I'm not going to be able to come in." And he said, "No, you're at home. I can see it on the app." And I was like, huge invasion of privacy, and made me very uncomfortable. And it was one of the things that made me to start looking for another job. So, but this, I mean, just in the workplace, I was working as a canine handler at the airport. So my job was to look for explosives at the airport. And they would monitor this GPS app. And if you would step outside of the building to make a phone call, smoke a cigarette, let the dog out to go to the bathroom, sometimes you get a phone call and they'd be like, "Hey, why are you outside?" And you're like, "I'm letting the dog go potty, or we're going for a walk. What's going on?" And they're like, "Oh, you should be inside the building. You shouldn't be outside." It's like, you can't step out for 5 minutes without some sort of fiasco thing going on. And then, behind your back, you got your bosses now talking, being like, "Oh, Trevor's never in the building. He's always outside. He's never doing his job when he should be inside," right? So it's just this extra step of monitoring that I think that doesn't need to happen. Translating to my current job, currently I work for a car dealership, and the owner of the car dealership is physically on the floor every day. And I was talking to some people about the other day that I think that kind of constant monitoring, I don't want to say micromanagement because it's not really micromanagement, it's monitoring your staff, right? Watching their every move, making sure they're always doing what they should be doing. I think at a certain point gets a little ridiculous, and I think it's actually counterproductive because the work environment is no longer a comfortable space where the staff feel free to do their jobs to the best of their ability. They're always kind of nervous because they have the kind of like that big brother looking over them and constantly monitoring them, and they're so nervous to even make a mistake because they think that it's just gonna they're gonna get hemmed up for it or something like that. But I mean, it was very ridiculous. I think when these jobs that that we're working in and stuff like that, it's not a high school job, it's not a college job. A lot of times these jobs aren't entry level jobs, and people have lives. You got to take your kids to school, you got to walk your own dogs. You got a lot of responsibilities. Maybe on your way to work that day there's a little bit of traffic and you're 2 minutes late. Not a big deal, right? But with this GPS app, all of a sudden it becomes a big deal, right? And I think that one of the adverse effects of this is that these things that are typically considered, normal or whatever, just day-to-day stuff. Hey, man, the line at Chipotle was a little bit long during lunch, so you came back 5 minutes late. Okay. Hey, no big deal. Get back to work. Let's do our jobs. Instead of that, because of this GPS technology, everybody gets an email that your GPS location is not where it's supposed to be because you weren't in the building at the right time, back from lunch, and now all of a sudden the CEO of the company is getting an email because Trevor was outside making a phone call for a few minutes during his lunch. So these things that are just kind of like it's kind of removing sort of like the human aspect, I think, of the job, and kind of making it more, I don't know, robotic, and I think it's not a good thing. I think it also takes away those mid-level leaders to just make on-the-spot decisions and do their jobs, right? So, your first-level managers, the people that handle that situation, so it doesn't have to go further up the chain of command. I think it takes away that responsibility from them and their ability to make good decisions and to create kind of like that positive environment. And that's a big part of their job. They keep, you're kind of like your worker ants happy so that they, work really hard. And if you got these technologies like this that are constantly blowing up, the upper echelons of the chain of command about being 2 minutes late because of a GPS tracking app, then kind of really, makes the space kind of uncomfortable and maybe not the best for productive thought and reasoning and other things like that. Other vulnerable technologies, I said in my post, the body cam. The job that I was doing, I was not law enforcement, right? We were just helping clear cargo and stuff. And this body camera was not used for, making sure they were handling, people correctly like you would in a law enforcement capacity, or for your protection and their protection or anything else like that. They would watch these videos, and if you made the slightest, right or left deviance, everything was scrutinized. And again, you are not trusted to do your job. And I think that for any organization to operate effectively or efficiently, you need to allow your staff to just do their jobs. And with this camera constantly recording, again, it's exactly like the GPS tracking thing. Everything is scrutinized. You're not allowed to just do your job, go in, do your thing. I mean, you're a canine handler looking for bombs. I have been doing that for 8 years. A lot of these guys that I was working with, they're veterans. They've been in the industry for a long time. They don't necessarily need, a little bird's eye over their shoulder, making sure that, they're doing the searches correctly and everything like that. So, and, like I said, I had an example where I had my camera on, I made a phone call, and that's some personal information being exchanged in that phone call, but it was a very important phone call. And then all of a sudden, my business is the talk of the town because I'm wearing a body camera. So, I think there needs to be a little bit more respect for your employees' privacy, and again, respect for your employees, and the people that you hire, they should do their jobs. If you don't think they're going to do their jobs, then you shouldn't hire them. They don't need to wear cameras at the Amazon stocking house to make sure that they're doing their jobs. You don't need GPS trackers at the Amazon stocking house to make sure they're back in from their, state-approved single cigarette break once a day for 7 minutes. So, I think, right, these body cameras and these GPS tracking devices, I think they actually degrade your ability to actually get things done because you're so focused on the little things, you're not actually accomplishing the larger mission. So, those are my thoughts on this week's subject. I appreciate all the engagement on the post, and have a great day.